Tonight, join us for a special birthday celebration with television's top stars and spectacular moments that Los Angeles grew up with. This is KTLA at 45, a salute to Los Angeles television. Hosted by Steve Allen, Stan Chambers, Stephanie Edwards, Hal Fishman, and Tom Snyder. With moments featuring Corla Pandit, Time for Beaming.
That's the word, let's go.
Hopalong Cassidy, Space Patrol, Bandstand Review, Wrestling.
Oh, Nelly.
Brad Astaire, Liberace, Lawrence Welk, Spade Cooley.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the Santa Monica Ballroom.
Johnny Carson.
I said, why did you come and see the show? And she says, because it was cold outside.
Gene Autry, John Wayne.
Just make yourself at home.
Queen for a Day, Roller Derby, Bowling for Dollars, Betty Davis.
Marvelous.
Events that shaped Los Angeles and the world. Plus much more. Now, here's KTLA's very own Stan Chambers.
Wednesday, January 22nd, 1947. It was quite a day. In Los Angeles, the temperature hit a far above normal 78 degrees, while it stood at 1 degree in Chicago and blizzards hit the east. A lot of folks who live there began thinking about moving to California, and they didn't give much thought to reports just out today that a commission was being formed to study something called smog. Almost 1.5 million people lived in Los Angeles, and the Hollywood sign read Hollywoodland. Police Chief Clamaral was concerned about the sensational Black Dahlia murder case. The police said new clues had been found. And if all of this was too much for you on this sunny January 22nd, 1947, perhaps it was time for some entertainment. At the movies, the choices were nothing but good. The best years of our lives. It's a Wonderful Life, and Till the Clouds Roll By. If live entertainment was your thing, you could see Sophie Tucker at Ciro's out on the Sunset Strip. Les Brown and his band of renown were at the Palladium. And on Vine Street, Ken Murray's Blackouts were at the El Capitan. Or you could walk over to Sunset Boulevard for Earl Carroll's Vanities. And if all of those choices were just too much for you, well, you could just stay home and listen to the good old radio. On KHJ, you could catch the news with Gabriel Heater, or you could listen to Frank Sinatra's show on KNX. On KECA, you could laugh along with Bing Crosby on the Philco Radio Time, or you could follow the surgical saga of Dr. Christian on KFI. So many choices. Maybe it would be better just to jump in your car and take a drive. Maybe you were one of those adventurous souls who had just bought one of those new $2,500 Kaiser Frazier's, the first new make of car in America in over 20 years. 47 was also a good year for the DeSoto. Hi, I'm Stan Chambers. And there were indeed a lot of choices for entertainment available to those 1.5 million Angelenos way back in 1947, but only a handful were able to choose something new and different that was about to be born right here on this stage on the Paramount movie lot. It was called KTLA, and 45 years ago, on January 22nd, 1947, it was going on the air with its first commercial telecast. For the 400 or 500 people here who had TV sets, it was a big moment. And for the entertainment industry, it was, of course, headline news. Well, maybe Daily Variety didn't hear about it, or maybe no one there had a TV set. Oh, here it is, right here on page 6. On the bottom of page 6, right next to the story about Meyer Gerson retiring as head of the commissary at Universal. Well, I guess hindsight is easy. But it really was a big moment. The first commercial TV broadcast ever seen in the western United States. Bob Hope hosted the show, and it starred such 1947 headliners as Jerry Colonna, Dorothy Lamour, and William Bendix. Footage of the actual broadcast doesn't exist. But Paramount sent over its movie newsreel crew to shoot the festivities. These scenes never made it to the theaters. Perhaps they didn't want to give the new medium any free publicity.
I had a little trouble getting here. Madman Munch chased me for 3 blocks, ladies and gentlemen. But I want to tell you it's a great thrill to be here on this wonderful initial program of station KTL. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Bob, first commercial television broadcast hope, telling you gals who've tuned in, and I want to make this emphatic, if my face isn't handsome and debonair, please blame it on the static. Which one do I look at? All I want to know is which one picks up the smell. Is this one there?
Considering that television was taking its first baby steps, a lot of people thought the show was pretty good. But unfortunately for KTLA, it turned out that Variety and The Hollywood Reporter had television sets after all. And the next morning, they voiced their opinions, and this time they were on the front page. "Commercial video test by Paramount fails to impress," said the headline in The Reporter. It's very doubtful if last night's presentation inspired in a single viewer the desire to buy a video receiver. Variety was even tougher. "Commercial television's debut here rates low as entertainment," chided the headline. It said the show looked like the answer to the question, what happened to vaudeville?
But it's a thrill being here because television, I understand, is a combination of radio and pictures. This is a little medium that Crosby invented so he can steal the money without even leaving the house.
The director and producer of that first show was a young man named Klaus Landsberg. And by 1947, Klaus had overcome obstacles far more formidable than a couple of bad reviews. It was Klaus Landsberg who almost single-handedly brought television to Los Angeles. And in the years ahead, he would plot the course of television across the nation, both technically and creatively. Our program tonight is more than just a celebration of KTLA's first 45 years. It's a love story about those days that brought all television to where it is today. The pioneers you'll see tonight created an art form as they went along. It was called live television. Any celebration of early television cannot ignore the contributions of Klaus Landsberg. In his native Germany, Landsberg was known as an electronic boy genius. When he was just 16, he built the world's most effective shortwave radio. And by the time he was 20, he was one of those in charge of televising the 1936 Olympic Games from Berlin. Shortly after that, he fled from Nazi Germany, and by 1939, he helped NBC stage the first American demonstration of television from the World's Fair in New York. In 1941, Paramount Pictures was ready to set up an experimental television station in Los Angeles, and Landsberg was put in charge of the project. He was only 25 years old. The first thing Landsberg did was to choose Mount Wilson as the site for his transmitter. And over the years, every other Los Angeles TV station would follow his lead. Young Landsberg came to LA alone, carrying 2 suitcases filled with electronic bits and pieces. A year later, the station was on the air. It was called W6XYZ. It was September 1942 when Klaus Landsberg would begin to prove that he was more than an electronic genius. He was a programming wizard as well. Realizing that television's greatest appeal was the fact that it could show live pictures from interesting locations, what came to be called live remote. It was from this location that Klaus Landsberg did his first live remote for W6XYZ. He took his cameras onto that stage where Paramount was filming the movie This Gun for Hire with Alan Ladd and Veronica Lake. In the mid-1940s, when it came to live entertainment, the heart of Los Angeles was the area around Beverly and Fairfax. The center of it all was the Art Deco Penn Pacific Auditorium. A disastrous fire in 1989 gutted the venerable building, but back in the 40s, the Pan Pacific was real and alive and vibrant. As early as 1946, when KTLA was still W6XYZ, Klaus Landsberg brought his experimental live cameras here to cover a hockey game. The play-by-play announcer was Bill Welch.
Klaus Landsberg said, you know, you don't need to say very much. Just give the names of the teams and the score, and once in a while point out a player. And I said, sure, Klaus. But when I got on there, I didn't do it like a radio broadcast, but I did a lot of talking because I felt you had to transmit the excitement of the thing to the people at home. Klaus never complained, so we went ahead and did it that way from then on.
Not far from what is left of the Pan Pacific stands the square white buildings that make up CBS Television City. TV City has been a local landmark since 1952. But before that, the area was another landmark, the site of Gilmore Field and Gilmore Stadium. Gilmore Field was home to the Hollywood Stars, certainly the most colorful team in the Pacific Coast League and perhaps in all of baseball. Wearing short pants and a star on their shirts, the team might have been out of place anywhere but L.A. But here, the Stars were a natural attraction and a natural focal point for the live remote cameras of KTLA. In its earliest days, Klaus Landsberg made coverage of the games from Gilmore Field an almost nightly feature. Even earlier, as far back as 1945, Landsberg was taking his remote cameras to the Olympic Auditorium for coverage of what remains a TV staple to this day, professional wrestling. The host was the late Dick Lane, whose humor and excitement and cries of "Whoa, Nellie" would set the tone for wrestling announcers from that time on.
A set for the neck breaker. He tags Leo. Leo comes in and throws a left hook in the middle and takes a front headlock. A Beal and sends the Baron rolling. Another Beal by Leo. Bombs away. There he goes, and the Baron goes outside. Here comes George and takes one to the jaw. Bombs for the George, and he's in the corner staggering. Leo hurries in and bombs the Baron again and sends him out over the top rope. Oh, Nellie.
In 1948, KTLA began a show called Pantomime Quiz, which would set the style for game shows for years to come. Pantomime Quiz was the brainchild of a young man named Mike Stokey.
Number 1 for Robert Clary. Bob, that is sent in by Mario Salvaneschi, I think, from Sherman Oaks, California. There you are. Move up close. Wait for the bell. Good luck.
Take your time.
For Bob, it's a gag say. He crossed a kangaroo with a telescope tunnel. Now it looks before it leaps.
Can you cheat? Gag say. You. He.
Cross-eyed.
Cross-eyed. Here's A. Cross A.
Frog. Toad. Kangaroo.
One of the panelists on Pantomime Quiz was Frank Duvall.
Well paid, yes. I think we got 6 Ronson lighters in a nice box each show. Then we went on for gold medal. And then we had shopping bags of flour and cereals and so forth. No, that was our pay. I had a horse, so it was just great.
Mike Stokey produced another live trend-setting program for KTLA in 1948. It was a mystery show called Armchair Detective and featured a crime story each week, after which the clues to solving the case were explained.
So, you want to be a detective, huh? You think you know who done it before it's been did? Well, okay. We're going to challenge you to a battle of wits in our case enactment tonight.
People were beginning to say that television is coming in. Radio is going down the tubes, and television is coming in, and you just better be ready for it. And I wanted to be ready for it, and so this seemed to be an opportunity. I was very pleased.
It was John Milton Kennedy who had the honor of doing the very first television commercial for the just-invented Polaroid camera.
John, if you'll step over here, I have some photographs I want to show you about this case tonight.
Be glad to. Say, you going in for photography?
John, every criminologist studies photography. You never can tell when a photograph will come in handy.
Yes, I know. Say, I have here a brand new Polaroid camera, and for catching criminals, all you do is a picture, and 60 seconds later, you have a fully developed picture come out the back. All you need, though, is a crime scene.
John, I'll provide that for you right now, so bring your camera.
Another area in which KTLA led the way was in children's programming. And nothing was more popular than the landmark puppet show Time for Beanie. Beanie was created in 1949 by cartoon animator Bob Clampett, and the voices and puppeteering were done by Stan Freberg and the late Dawes Butler. Beanie, which was presented for 15 minutes live each weeknight at 6:30, became a mega hit, not only with children but with adults as well.
You want to apply for the Secret Service job?
Well, I don't know. I saw the sign on the tree.
Okay, what's your name and how old are you?
My name is Cecil the C6 Sea Serpent, and I'm 300 years old.
Don't try to be funny, Jocko. Just answer the questions. How tall are you?
See.
How tall? How tall?
35 feet 3 inches in my underwear.
In your underwear, eh?
Yeah.
Wow, well, well. Now just shut your trap and follow me. Now we're going to test your eyes. Come over here and read the bottom line.
Oh, over there?
Over there.
Bottom line.
Bottom line.
The Acme Eye Chart Company.
We had one sequence that was funny where Beanie was caught in a fairly quicksand. And the captain would say, well, thank goodness it's fairly quick, because if it was quick, he wouldn't even be here. You know, we got to save him. And then you see Beanie like this, you know, with the set, and he'd be yelling,
help, Cecil, help. Help, Cecil, help. Help, Cecil, help.
you know. And then by that time, Cecil would be there like the Marine, you know, saying, Beanie, I'm coming, Beanie. And he'd pull him up, you know, you'd see my sleeve and everything.
When we first started doing Beanie here on this very stage, it was really the early days of TV, they hadn't yet developed what were called later cool television lights. What we had were the same kind of lights you put in your patio to light up, 150-watt spotlights, right? But we had hundreds of these things, banks of them, about this far above our heads. So the one night, I'm on the air, I have a character I believe was Clowny on my left hand, a rubber head, right? All of a sudden, I begin to feel the clown melting on my fingers. No way that I was going to keep the clown in the shot at that point, right? I'll see you later, Beanie. Out he went, right? What I received was third-degree burns and a memo from Bob Clampett saying, try and stay with the script, Freeberg. There was no exit indicated for the clown at that point.
O-M, I say M-O, M-O-P, M-O-P-P.
The organist on Time for Beanie was a mystical man from India who Klaus had seen performing at a benefit. Soon the organist would have his own show on KTLA.
Come with us through melody to the four corners of the earth. Hear music exotic and familiar spring from the amazing hands of correspondent on a musical adventure.
And we used a cloud, misty cloud, and that kept the transition from the show to the commercials, but kept it in a thread going through as you would in a concert. That was my original concept. And of course, once it started that way, everyone said, well, can he talk? And they said, then Klaus said, never talk. and it went on. And then each, of course, day or each year it got a bit more mysterious, and so they never would let me talk. And 900 live shows, we never spoke.
Envy anyone you happen to know.
In October of 1947, KTLA presented the first children's show in Los Angeles TV history. It was